Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll show you how I painted the veteran guardsman from Kill Team Octarius. I've chosen the hardened specialist for this video, and so this model is going to give you a good all-round look at all the different components and all the techniques we use in this video you can apply to all the different operatives that come in that Death Korp of Krieg Guardsman set. And here's the finished piece. This is what we're aiming for today. Nice, good quality, tabletop ready standard, using mostly contrast paints and some quick and easy techniques that I think pretty much anybody will be able to do. I'll put a list of all the paints we use in the description below, as well as some links where you can save up to 20% off the retail price. But let's get started, and the first thing I did was prime my model using the Citadel Colour Wraithbone Contrast undercoat, and this is the spray, so make sure you follow the instructions on the back, really important. And then I used the Kill Team Octarius book as my reference, and then just flick into page 19 and 20, you get some nice pictures. So I chose to go for this blue-grey colour, but they've also got some really nice clear images for the green as well. So whichever regiment you choose, there's going to be loads of options. You can find lots of images online, but this book's handy if you want to go for that grey or the green. Okay, let's get started, and the first paint is a Space Wolves Grey contrast paint, and we're going to put one relatively thin coat all over the trousers and the jacket. And so you don't want to flood this paint on now, because we're going to be layering up with some other paints later on. So this is just to give us the foundation colour and get that grey really started. So I'm making sure to start and end my brush strokes where I want most of the paint to build up, and then pushing and pulling the paint around, making sure it gives a nice even coat all over. It is going to pool and tend to go in those recesses, but that's what we want from the contrast paint. That's going to give us a little bit of shadow, a little bit of shade there, and it's also going to come away from the more raised areas, giving us some indications of a highlight. So you can see I'm not putting on loads of paint at all, but just pushing it around, pulling it, and making sure it settles where I want it to go. Then I took some contrast Gryph Charger Grey, and it's really important to make sure that Space Wolves is completely dry. And then I went over with a very thin coat now over the legs and the trousers. So just so you can see here, I'm not doing the bindings at the bottom, just where the trousers are that kind of light bluey grey colour. And so combining these two I found worked really well. I tried a few different combinations, and I felt that this one got as close to the picture as I could with the contrast paints that I've got. And then I'm also going to go over these little sleeves here, the cuffs at the sleeves, because that's going to be a little bit paler than the jacket. So just giving that a nice thin coat as well. And now we're going to take three paints: Technical Contrast, Contrast Basilicanum Grey, and Contrast Ultramarines Blue. So I mix these together in a ratio of 2 parts Contrast Medium, 2 parts Basilicanum Grey, 1 part Ultramarine Blue. And that's going to give us a real grey-blue colour that I think matches the picture as closely as I could get it. And now I'm just applying that all over in one nice even coat. Again, I'm not flooding it with paint here. I'm not putting tons of paint on, but with the 2 different layers of different colours, that's going to give us enough to give us a kind of shade in the recesses, and it's going to allow the paint to come away from those raised areas for a nice highlight. And this part of the model is fantastic. He's got like a mechanical arm, and you can see it coming through the coat, and I think this looks really great. Then I took some Leadbelcher, and this is now going to be used to block in all the areas that I want to have a metallic finish. So some of these I'm going to go over with contrast paints later on, which is a great use of the Leadbelcher. Combining it with a contrast paint layer over the top is a really nice technique that I use quite a lot. But here I'm going over it with just one coat, and I'm just using it straight out the pot, and then just applying it nice and evenly all over those metallic sections. And so taking my time, blocking it all in, trying not to go over any of that blue we've painted now. If we go over any of the Wraithbone, it's not a big deal, because we can just touch that up later, no problem. If you want to speed this process up a little bit, you don't have to do this Leadbelcher. You could just use Basilicanum Grey, and you're going to get a very matte finish, but it's still going to give you the idea that it is metal, and so that would work no problem. So you don't have to do this, but I just really like having this metallic look on there, and combining that with the almost like watercolor effects you get from these contrast paints. I think it works really nicely, and I love the style of it all. So here I'm just going over the whole weapon, and this is going to be black and grey later on, so we will go over some of this with some black paint, but it's really important just to block it all in to start with here. So then the bayonet as well, we've got to get the bayonet on there. And then the shovel, I'm doing that all metal for now, just avoiding those little straps, which are going to be leather. So just taking my time, going in the gaps there. Again, if we go over the Wraithbone, we can touch it up, it's no problem. But I just find moving the model really helps. Right, now we're going to take that base Wraithbone, and I'm going to tidy up any areas that I got messy. And these are quite fiddly. This one is probably the easiest of them all because of the stunts, but a lot of the models are quite tricky in the different poses, so you will be making some mistakes. So just really important though to tidy it up with this Wraithbone before going on to any further stages. Next we're going to take Contrast Wyldwood, and this is going to be for the boots, and this is a really great paint to use for any wood effect, but it's perfect for a dark leather look too. So this is going to work really nicely with these boots, and brown and blue always goes together really nicely, I find, and so using this one's really good. If you wanted to use a more orangey brown, there's another bunch of paints in the contrast range that would be great for this, but I really like this colour. So I'm going to do the boots, again turning that model so I'm not moving myself, I'm always in the same position, I can brace my arms on the table so I'm not shaking too much, and then I can get in there and I've got a lot more control. So just move that model around and make it a lot easier for yourself. So there we are, I'm just going over all these straps now, and I waited for that blue to dry just so that they don't run into each other. They can do that a little bit, these contrast paints sometimes. Then I take some Contrast Skeleton Horde, and this is going to be a perfect colour to go on all these bindings around the shins, and we're also going to use it on part of the rucksack as well. So this you can put on a little bit thicker because it tends to dry quite opaque, so I'm quite generous with this whenever I use it, especially on skulls, but for this it's going to work really nicely for this little roll mat here, this bedding mat or whatever it is that he's got on the rucksack, and certainly for the bindings too. But later on we're going to put some shade over this, which will just dirty it up a little bit because it is a little bit bright. So you imagine these guys in the trenches, they're not going to be pretty clean, so we want to rough that up later. Now I'm taking some Contrast Snakebite leather, another great brown colour, really great natural look. This is a little bit more orangey, so you could use this for the boots if you want, but I found having that darker brown works really nicely. And so now I'm using this Snakebite leather to go over any straps or any little pouches, so any other things that would be brown leather I'm going to use this colour for. The straps on the guns you find on some of the other models, I went ahead and used the Wyldwood for that, just to mix things up a bit so it's not all the same colour going through. But all the belts and everything else, I'm continuing to do that with this Snakebite leather. I think that works really nicely. This front part I'm just going to paint completely with the Snakebite leather, and you could in the inside do it metallic and pay a bit more attention to the dials and the buttons, but for me I want to be quite fast here, so I'm just going to give it one complete coat of that brown. Now I'm going to take some Contrast Basilicanum Grey, and this is going to be for this little gas mask part here, the tube that's going down. Also going to paint the hands with this. I'm not going to put it on the metallic hand, but I'm going to put it on any of the operatives that have got gloves, so this is going to go on all those sections, any hands you see on the other models as well. Then I take some Contrast Black Templar, and this is going to go on this guy's shoulder pads, the helmet, the gun, and his hand. So here on the gun, I'm just copying the picture and just picking out the black sections. You don't have to, you could do it however you like, but I found the pictures were so good, I just literally just copied those. And then on the helmet here, again, I'm not flooding it with paint, just a nice even coat just to get that colour. Then I took some Retributor Armour base paint, and this is the metallic paint that I want to use on all the little logos here. So I'm just picking those out really carefully, and then there's going to be little bits all over the model, a little belt buckle here that you can see. This guy's also got some medals that I'm going to be using it for, and again just moving that model around so it's really easy to get to, and I can be nice and comfortable and in control, and just give that one nice coat, and that's all it's going to take. So just one coat of this, and we'll put some shade over it later to bring out any textures and things like that. And then here on the gun, they've all got this little skull, so I'm going to paint that this nice gold colour as well. And on the backpack, there's a tiny little skull and a couple of little badges or buckles that are holding the straps down. So just give those a little coat too. You could do them silver, gold, it's entirely up to you. Then it's time to take the Contrast Blood Angels Red, and we're going to paint the eyes. I'm not great at doing these fiddly little bits like this, so I'm really taking my time. I've got quite a small brush, got it to a nice point as much as I can. I haven't got too much paint on the brush there, and again I'm just turning the model so I make it as easy as I can, trying not to do too much detail, and just getting it in there as neat as I can. And then I'll just put a little bit inside there on the dial too. Right, now I took some Agrax Earthshade. Again, make sure everything's dry before you move on to each stage. And I'm going to put just a nice even coat all over this rucksack. And this is going to tie in all these browns together. Any little gaps I might have missed are going to be filled in by this, and you're not going to notice them. And it's also going to dirty it up, make it a bit grimy. I'm going to put this Agrax Earthshade on the shovel too. So this is more of your brown shade, where the Nuln Oil that we'll use in a minute is like more of a black shade. So this is going to be perfect for all those natural leather colours. So all over here as well, I'm going to pop it on there. And then any of the basically any of the Snakebite leather we did earlier is going to get some. And any of that gold as well. Put a little bit of this over the gold sections as well. And then quite a lot down here on those bindings around the shins. So this is really going to dirty it up and bring it out the texture a bit more. Then I want to put some in here on the gas mask itself, but not too much. So I'm not putting much at all here. This is just going to colour it. Again, just grime it up a bit and make it a nice natural colour that ties in with the rest of the model. Then it's time for that dark black Nuln Oil, and this is going to go over the whole gun. So any of the black parts we painted, the gold skull and the silver metal of the gun is going to get a nice coat of this all over it. And then that's again going to dirty it up a bit, but it's also going to allow us to bring out some of that texture of the model, and then a little bit on the gas mask tube too. And there we go, there's our veteran Guardsman painted with mostly contrast paints to a good tabletop ready standard, using some nice quick, easy, simple techniques. I was really happy with how he turned out. For the amount of time it took for what I got back in return, I think it's well worth it. And that's one of the benefits of contrast paints. It's almost painting by numbers, just blocking those colours in, layering up a few different ones, and then using the different washes to bring it to life. You could use a little dry brush on some parts of this, but I kind of like them being like quite not so bright and a bit more grungy, so I'm going to leave them like this, and I like the way they look. So I've got the bases to do yet though. I haven't done that yet, and I didn't just paint this one on its own, I painted all of them at the same time. So I've got all the bases to do, and I'll pop another video up on the channel after this video. So if you're watching it today, as soon as it goes up, I'll be starting on the bases, so that video will be up on next. So you better watch how I make the bases for these, and I want to do a kind of muddy battlefield kind of trench style for the bases. But here's all the different miniatures from that set, and all in the same theme, using the same techniques, just picking out those different components. And some have got more gold than others, and some have got like different straps in different places, but all the techniques are pretty much the same. You can also watch loads of other painting videos on the channel where I've done all the different terrain pieces from the Octarius box set, so they're all available to watch now, and all I've got to do is finish the bases for these and then get stuck into the orcs, and I can't wait to get those painted. They look awesome. You can also watch an unboxing video, and I've also done some videos showing how you might want to build your orc commandos and your Death KORP of KRIEG using the models that come in that set. I'll put a list of all the paints used in this video in the description below, and I'll put some links there as well, so you can save up to 20% on the retail price, and those links can take you to Wayland Games or Element Games. Both are awesome companies where you can order online, and you're going to save 20% on not just on your paints but on the products too. And Element Games have got Kill Team at the moment available for $99.99, and so not only do you save money, but you also support the channel too, because I get a commission from any sales made through those links. So if you do choose to click the link and have a look, then thanks so much for that support. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this gave you an idea of how you might like to paint your miniatures from the Kill Team Octarius box set using some contrast paints and some really quick and easy techniques too. I'd love to know how you'll be painting your veteran Guardsman. Are you more of a traditional painter, or do you like using the contrast paint? So let me know in the comment section below. It'd be awesome to get some feedback and thoughts from you. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page, and thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out, and you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description, and it'd be great to see you there.